list of places I've traveled.
Okay.
Because I do stand up almost every weekend. I could, longer list, but I just picked out, and see if you can tell why I picked these cities. This place I've been in the last 2 years. Huntsville, Alabama. Nashville, Tennessee. Let's not do this for everyone. Memphis, Baton Rouge, Savannah, Topeka, Kansas, Oklahoma City, Little Rock, Mobile, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, Kansas City, Charleston, West Virginia, Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Macon, Georgia. What do they all have in common?
They probably loved you. They probably
All
had
in
a standing
states
room
that
only.
you won in 2008.
Wonderful people they are. Smart people they are. Brilliant.
Hey, what's up? This is Joed Lopez with a Panvizio short. I'm checking out this video of Governor Mike Huckabee being interviewed by Bill Maher. This was back in March 2015, and it was right before things heated up in the primaries. And in this sit down, Huckabee is describing the overall thesis of his book of Gods, Guns, Grits, and Gravy, and how these power centers, political power centers on each coast, New York, Hollywood, Washington, D.C., are all dominated by big city politics, which is typically left-leaning, which is somewhat typical of all major cities. And he describes that, over the past X years, the vast majority of the country, which most people call flyover country, while they had a big influence in culture and Hollywood and movies and music, when it comes to traditional values and just overall home culture, it's kind of like, dismissed or neglected or not really validated or affirmed. And he goes into his book that he's calling it Bubbaville, and it's actually not bad. It's actually not a bad thing, and it's been dismissed by the left, and it's going to peg them at the end. And so he talks about it a little bit, and then Bill makes the following point, which you'll find was completely wrong in the end.
But you have this thing in your book, Bubbaville. You were just describing it. And I think I know Bubbaville better than you do.
No,
I think I'm in more cities than you are. And I see in America, I don't know if you know this, America. I don't know if you know how actually people in the cities, yes, I'm sure if you go out in the Deliverance area, they're but they look, act, and laugh just like people everywhere else. This country is not Bubbaville anymore.
No, but Bill, I think what I was...
So he's telling him, a guy who wrote a book on God's, Grits, Guns, and Gravy, probably got the order messed up, but he doesn't know it. Because he had a tour in these cities, and people are coming out to see him and laughing at his jokes, and might be, in alignment with his worldview, a political worldview. And so therefore, which is a terrible sample set, by the way, hey, America is changing. America is evolving. It's not Bubbleville anymore. It's actually following in pace with the evolution of these major cities, metropolitan areas, Hollywood, LA, New York, DC, and so it's changing, and he's off touch. He's out of touch. He doesn't know. And this is Huckabee's response.
I would say to you, there's a lot of people who will come to your show, whether it's in whatever city. There are liberals, and there are all kinds of people in every city in America. There are conservatives. There are very strict fundamentalist Christians in Manhattan. I understand all that. I'm saying the prevailing worldview, and this is from going to New York every week for 6.5 years.
And it's pretty insulting, by the way, to even pose that point to Huckabee. But he in this interview especially, he was a class act. He was actually really funny too, and really knew what to give back to Bill, whatever he threw at him. But yeah, he's very calm, cool, and collected in responding that that's not what he means. It's not that I'm not saying that people on the left don't exist in these areas. This is what he's trying to say.
I told people when they said, "Are you going to
Do your
move to New
TV
York?"
show.
Yeah.
Right.
And they asked me, did I live there? I said, no, I'm not going to go there unless they let me duck hunt in Central Park, which I'm pretty sure that's never going to happen. And my point being that
Why do you want to kill ducks? Really?
they taste good, Bill. You kill things to eat them.
Okay. All right.
No,
If
but
you
my
eat
point
them.
is there is a difference in the culture in those areas that really set the table for American culture.
That's the key right there. There's a different culture that is disconnected, and that sets the table for American overall culture. That American culture isn't just made up of these central political places of Hollywood, New York, and DC, that it's beyond that. And it shouldn't be overlooked or dismissed. And he says it sets a table for American culture. And people are, beginning to fight back for that a little more intensely.
And so much of the land that we call flyover world.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask the panel about this in a minute, about
Okay.
this strategy, because Ted Cruz, who declared this week, is trying to steal your lunch. I mean, you're the real pastor. You're a real pastor, right?
I was 25 years ago.
Okay.
I don't know what you were doing 25 years ago.
I know, but you are a Jesus enthusiast.
I do love Jesus. I don't
Okay.
even
Right.
deny that.
Right, in a
Yeah.
way that he really can't compete with, and yet he declared, he could have picked his alma mater, Harvard, to declare, but that would send an awful message that he believes in reason and logic. He declared at Liberty he's going after your vote, and now I assume you're running for president. You're here.
I will make a decision final sometime.
You're
in the
running
next
for
6
president.
weeks.
Okay, so, I mean, no, I mean, winning 8 states the last time you ran, that's a lot of states. I mean, a lot of people run and don't win any states.
Yeah.
So you have a place a springboard to go from. What do you think about Ted Cruz getting in? Is he a threat to you?
Well, everybody's a threat to me. I think they should all drop out and let me have it to myself. But,
There you go.
everybody assumes that the only people who supported me 8 years ago were the people who were religious. And the fact is, if they'd all really supported me, I'd have been the nominee.
Right.
The fact is, a lot of the people who supported me were working class people, the kind of people I grew up with, because that's where I came from. I am not blue blood. I'm blue collar.
Right.
I'm the first male in my entire family lineage that ever graduated high school.
You're from the same town as Bill Clinton.
I am. Bill Clinton and I are both from Hope, Arkansas.
You could have flipped a coin and wound up in different parties.
Could have. But he moved away when he was like 5 years old, and I stayed. Because
Right.
my family didn't have enough money to go, so there we were.
He moved away from
But
a lot of things.
The working class people, that's where my support really came from. It was from truck drivers and baggage handlers.
Sounds familiar? Blue collar, trying to talk it up with them. That's the population that feels disconnected. Those union workers that traditionally are leaning towards the Democrats. He's talking about that as his base that resonates with him, even though he's on the right. This was 2015.
And taxi drivers, and there's a loss of connection between the political class and the people who are working.
I wish we had more time.
There is a loss. There's a disconnection between the political elite and the political class and the working class. And Bill Maher wasn't buying it. And how wrong was Bill Maher this time around? He does not know Bubbaville. He does not know the flyover states. And a lot of people didn't know. A lot of people underestimated that. So that's just kind of like, for me, I wanted to share this video that I think it's important that we go back, even though everyone's talking about the craze of what's happening now with with Trump and all the craziness that comes with the executive orders and the policies. But I think it's important to go back and see who are the people who are wrong and how wrong were they? And should we start listening to a different voice and, be a little more critical in our thinking when it comes to this stuff? Because those on the left have lost severely in the past 6 years. And if we truly care about our ideas, then one, we know we need to kind of learn how to identify them and defend them. And not just defend them, I think we also need to how to evangelize them. Because you see here, as he leaves off, this is our job for the next 2 to 4 years beyond, is to do this.
But we do.
To talk about why I don't think people like that should vote Republican. But you make that case, and we'll see if they do.
And they did. So he ended off with that. We'll see if there's more time needed to talk about why people who are blue collar shouldn't vote Republican. And I think that's what we need to get back to, is how do we win them back and re-engage our base, and also learn how to identify our arguments better, communicate them better, and not just defend them, but win the hearts, not just the minds of those who are trying to reach, who are either in the middle or independent or flip-flopping, that kind of thing. That's it, folks. This is Joel Lopez, pamvisu.org. Catch you guys later. Next one. Bye.